Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Esteban, and today I wanted to share a space with you guys where we talk about Inside Out 2. I watched the movie a couple days ago, and I wanted to create this video and tell you how it left me beautifully touched by different questions that I truly believe can nurture our existence. The biggest one being, do we empathize enough with our emotions? I left the theater full of peace and gratitude for the opportunity of experiencing with Inside Out 2 the gift that it is to comprehend yourself and others a little better. I was so touched by two scenes close to the end of the movie. I was fully in tears, which admittedly wasn't easy to let free, to let flow, because I was surrounded by a lot of people in the theater, and this, macho stereotype came to me like an intrusive thought, and the possible judgy eyes of those around me looking at me in the theater like, why is this boy crying? I believe Kelsey Mann's direction in this movie is pretty spot on, especially because as a team, they had the big task of continuing, you know, Pete Doctor's unique legacy with Inside Out to explore everything that comes from inside of all of us, emotions, thoughts. The familiar joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger are now joined by four new emotions, which are anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui, which is boredom, or what here in Colombia we will call locha or jartera. Anyway, the way anxiety, thanks to both the screenplay and Maya Hawke's performance, took over the entire story, the theater screen, Riley's mind, and my heart was undeniable. The writing was just so spectacular. We're not talking about awards potential, but I do personally believe this should be considered for writing at next year's Oscars. But the writing just allowed me to understand my anxiety in such a peaceful way, a comprehensive way, because I believe many of us, when we first experience anxiety or whenever we feel it nowadays, we just want to go back to a peaceful state of mind. And the movie just reminded me how important it is, no matter how uncomfortable it is to experience anxiety, to not fight it, to just let it come, to allow it to sit in our hearts, in our body, in our soul, whatever you believe in, and let it come. If it wants to stay, we allow it to stay. And if we don't fight it, we're probably all assured to gain peace again because we're letting it go. We're releasing it. The way it just taught me once again that the more you try to fight things that are coming inside of you, just makes things worse because the more we fight anxiety, the worse it gets, and the more fear and the more doubts you get. The big question of this video, do we empathize enough with our emotions, came to me after crying twice in the following moments. In the first one, we find Joy crying at the bottom of a pile of Riley's memories, sharing with anger, disgust, and fear that maybe anxiety is right. As we get older, we may never feel as joyful as we did when we were kids. And the older we get, the less joy we need and find in our lives. That my heart, oof, completamente roto, completely broken, guys. Why do we start to feel like zombies the older we get? Surviving instead of living, feeling nothing, like lacking the ability to feel the most that we should, right? Is this a result of the society that we're living in today? Or is that just inherent to the human condition? Something genetic, even inevitable? The second scene I want to talk about is after her thoughts pressure her to the limit, Riley finds herself having a panic attack, which I gotta confess, by the way, felt so real and distressing thanks to both the editing and the shot movement. My gosh, great job in that department. That happens while anxiety has created a tornado over the console because she's just messing with it. Joy joins anxiety over the console inside the tornado and tells her to let go. Anxiety is crying in that moment, and Joy explains her that she has to let go, not because she isn't allowed to be there, in Riley's mind, or to never be present ever again in her life, but rather because neither anxiety or any of those emotions, meaning any of them, define her, define Riley, define us humans. Oh, seriously, that moment was like a big warm hug to my soul. We live in a world where we are always running, overdoing, overthinking. We have no time to process stuff or to even, breathe. And I think Inside Out 2 is a great movie because it reminds all of us to not judge. And that's where we answer the question. And I hope everyone at their homes are able to find their ways of explaining that question of this video, which is how do we empathize with our emotions? What are the tools, the experiences that we have gained to not wish them to be different, but also to not let them define us as a person? Because there are a gamut of emotions that we go through. And the important thing, again, is not wishing them to go away or to be different, but to understand why they bloom when they bloom. And being able to heal when we face emotions that we don't cope the best with. And just Inside Out 2 is trying, as well as Inside Out, the first one did, to keep reminding us of the truths that we already have inside of us. And like I mentioned, because of the way that we are living today, we sometimes lose focus. We don't know what we already have stored in our minds, in our hearts, in our souls. Also, when Joy opens up about how exhausting it is for her to always be positive, to be the leader, to cheer others, to have the answer to every single question or have solution to every single problem, that scene screamed to me, deja fluir. Let things flow, just like water. When we flow, we don't box or tag things in our interiors, like needing or require ourselves to feel a certain way, and neither tagging other sensations that we're not used to as dangerous. They all enrich our human experience. It sounds obvious and redundant, but how do we meet happiness when we haven't met sadness? It will all feel numb, wouldn't it? Like emotionless? Same thing with peace and anxiety. We wouldn't know what peace is if we have not met its contrast. I just gotta say a big thank you to everyone who worked on this movie because they gifted us not only an entertaining time, but also a movie packed with messages that want all of us to nurture our relationships with ourselves and with those around us, especially with those that in the past we may have not understood. Asking and giving forgiveness for not knowing what to do when our hearts are in pain, when the mind never stops, when the intrusive thoughts leave us shocked, when anxiety casually just says, hi. I hope we as a society continue to explore narratives that challenge us as viewers, cinephiles, whatever you want to call it, because those are the ones that expand our viewpoints, our knowledge about ourselves, about nature, about everything that makes our existence a complex but beautiful mystery. And do not let us judge films just by their genre. Like once Guillermo del Toro said,
Animation is cinema. Animation is not a genre. And animation is ready to be taken to the next step. We are all ready for it.
let me know what questions or feelings Inside Out 2 allowed you guys to pour out of yourselves. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that notification bell if you like this type of content. Especially let me know if you like this type of videos because I really enjoy making this one. And darle me gusta al video también. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.